Today, let's talk about trade-offs. The world is complex. Navigating our ways around, always trying our hardest to get the absolute best outcome is exhausting. The choices are endless, so many options seem so good, even though they couldn't be more different at the same time. At the end of the day, we have to embrace the suck and call the shots. So let's see how we can make the best out of it. Let's start simple. How do we make the best decision if a trade-off is not even necessary? Let's imagine we're moving to a new city and are looking for a place to live. We're just starting out, so our budget is quite limited. Therefore, we want to optimize our choice around the lowest price. The price obviously scales with the square footage, but also depends on a lot of different factors that we will ignore in this first example. We might have some restrictions that we have to take into account, like a maximum budget or minimum square footage. But since we are not looking at specific houses or apartments yet, but rather at the general location we should start our search in, the information of the average price per square foot in a certain location is enough for now. This map shows us the average square foot price distribution for London. To process this data further, let's transfer it into Python and assign the corresponding cost values to each pixel of the picture. Since finding an available apartment exactly at one single location is unlikely anyways, let's reduce the resolution a bit so we end up with broad neighborhoods to eventually search in. Finding the cheapest price means simply searching for the minimum value on this map. Doing that using a minimum search algorithm on our dataset shows us that this can be found around here. While this gives us the most likely area to find a comparably very cheap place in, it's also unlikely that other factors are meeting somewhat of our standards. If decisions were that simple, we could stop here and all move on with our lives. But what would be the fun in that? So let's move on to the real world. Let's imagine we want to optimize over a mix between the price and the distance we have to travel every day to get to work. If our office is located here, this map shows us the distance of each potential housing to the office. Plotting the price of each location in the city, or at least neighborhood, over the distance to work gives us the following plot. Each point represents one neighborhood of our map here, telling us the trade-off in price we have to make for a certain distance for our commute and vice versa. Ideally, we want the cheapest and closest location possible, but since our experience from the real world tells us that these two rarely come together, we usually have to make a trade-off. The closer we get to the origin of this diagram, the more likely our wishes are fulfilled. The light blue line here indicates the location of all optimal solutions, the so-called Pareto frontier. While not all of these options might be optimal based on your personal preferences, they are indeed each a combination of the best trade-off possible, or at least available, for a certain variable. Each of these points can't be improved in one aspect without accepting a decrease in the other. Even though picking some of these might make you feel like you pay too much or you spend too much time on the road, there's no need to feel bad. You did make an optimal choice after all. This is where the optimal solutions we found would be located on the map for our problem. But how can we tweak this a little bit? How can we make sure we really get the best result for us individually? This is where things tend to get a bit philosophical. Making wise trade-offs is one of the most important and difficult challenges in decision-making. The fact that there is a wide range of choices which are theoretically all optimal might reduce the information overload, but eventually it still will end up leading to decision fatigue. If you have a hard time finding out where your personal ideal optimum might be located on the Pareto frontier, I would recommend changing your perspective on the problem a little bit. Since apples and horses, or in this case, cost and time and cost and money are sometimes difficult to weigh out against each other, you might try to translate each one into the other, let's call it currency. You can ask questions like, how many minutes saved on the road are worth paying $100 more in rent to me? Try to prioritize, maybe independent from your actual problem scenario, what matters most to you. Do you really need to save money, or might the save time be of more value to you in your current situation? To differentiate the positive and negative aspects among the optimal options, you can also simplify the process through identifying the key risk and key chance of each extreme, similar to what we've already looked at in the last video. If you decide to take a well-balanced mix or go all into one extreme, don't forget that at the end of the day, most good or bad consequences won't last forever. So don't be afraid to take a risk at least every now and then. Confidence in the execution of your decisions is at least as important as the optimality of the choice itself. Even if there's no right thing to do, committing to your choice and treating it as if it was the one and only option and never looking back is often the right course of action for a good future. While you're likely to figure out a way to navigate the highs and lows that each option comes with, it doesn't help much to doubt yourself while you might actually be on the best way possible for your situation. I hope this gives you a better understanding of what to look out for when making complex decisions, including trade-offs from now on. Thank you for watching and see you next time.